Dusty Bills. What if a Sea Org member who is OT3 or higher said in an auditing session that they were Xenu in a past life? What would an auditor do, and what would you have done? Okay, Dusty, thank you for this question. Interesting. And actually, the response from an auditor to something like this would depend a great deal on the context. But if they were OT3 or higher, then of course that means that they're in with an OT auditor, right? Because you'd have to be in an auditing session as an OT with another OT. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but lower level people can't audit OTs for obvious reasons. And by the way, if kind of humorous to me that if you can understand this question, you might have been watching my channel too much. And I'm just kidding, because I'm not trying to send anybody away. Anyway, here's how this works is in an OT auditing session where you would have an OT auditor, if somebody were to actually say that, then both people in the room would understand why that's not really plausible. Because Xenu isn't dead. According to the OT3 materials that we've seen, L. Ron Hubbard claims that Xenu is still very much alive and is being held in a fortress in some prison in some mountain somewhere, not necessarily on Earth. I don't know where he's being kept, with a force field of some kind that's keeping him in place that has a quote-unquote infinite battery. I didn't pull up the Hubbard's writings on this. This is just out of my memory before I answered this. But this is the case with Xenu. I mean, I'm absolutely positive about this, that the guy is out there and he's still alive, and that like he sort of is in this prison sort of spiritually, not just physically, right? It would have to be that way, because if his body were to die or whatever, he could just take off as a spirit, but certain electronics, L. Ron Hubbard claims, can actually imprison a Thetan and trap him. Doesn't make any damn sense, considering that a Thetan is not physical in any way. It carries physical baggage around with him, a mind and energy pictures and stuff. But it's just so inconsistent that I have so many questions for Hubbard on the subject if he were ever to be around to help clarify this stuff. But we don't have any of that. So the situation you present, though, Dusty, is a situation where both people in the room would know that that can't be. So that would either be a joke, or if the person were really saying, hey, I think I was and somehow didn't understand this, what would happen is the auditor would simply acknowledge the person. Okay, I got it. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Got it. Thank you. And write it all down. And it goes to the case supervisor. The case supervisor is going to look at that and go, oh, no, that's interesting. Doesn't he understand, right? Doesn't he realize or whatever? And he might actually give an instruction in the next session for the auditor to go over the OT3 materials that actually have that in there with the person. And he's OT3, so he'd be able to see it. And they might go over that stuff, right? Now, I don't, because I don't remember exactly precisely where that line about Xenu being in a prison is located. It might be in the Class 8 the Class 8 lectures, which is an auditor training level where they have even more information about the Xenu story than what is on OT3. The things that people read on OT3 about Xenu is just a little bit. There's a whole other couple lectures where Hubbard goes into more detail. One of these lectures is called Assists. It's on the internet. You can look it up. You can Google it. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. And Hubbard talks openly about Xenu in this story, all right, in the lecture. So anyway, they might have to go over that material so that the pre-clear is reminded, or the OT is reminded, oh yeah, Xenu, yeah, I mean, I can't be Xenu. Xenu's dead, right? Sort of point that little inconsistency out. Or they might just leave it alone. The CS might not even care. I mean, in the big scheme of things, no one cares. He's certainly not going to run around talking about being Xenu. It would only be something between him and his auditors. And, and I don't know that anybody would even particularly pay a whole lot of attention to it. Now, if the guy was trying to make a big deal about it, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the one, like, hey, man, it was me, I'm the one who did all this, there are other actions that he might be instructed to do, or that the case supervisor might start putting together, starting with some pretty hardcore sec checking. Because this person would be looked at as slightly nutty, like something's up now, right? Like this guy's making claims that don't make any sense about Scientology mythology. So that's not cool, right? So we're gonna take a rather dim view on this, and so the person would probably be security checked. In other words, asked, sharp and pointed interrogatory type questions to find out what crimes they're committing, concealing. Are they on the internet? What are they looking at? What gave them this idea? Where did it come from? Did somebody suggest this idea to them? Did they read something about this? Lots and lots of ways of hitting this guy at different angles, different vectors, to get what the hell's going on here, that this guy is suddenly spouting off about Xenu and him being Xenu, because that doesn't make any damn sense. Right, and they might approach it that way. It's they tend to use a hammer when presented with options of what to do. The hammer is usually one of the first tools picked up, and let's beat this guy into submission. So because that's destructive cult 101. So I think that's what as plausible an answer as I think I can give you. I would not have done anything because I've never been an OT auditor, and I'm not been OT. But pretty much what I just said or laid out there is what the kind of things I would have thought to do as the auditor and as the case supervisor.